Greater Tampa Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank the viewers for tuning in to our 2019 candidate interview series. We are interviewing for City Council in the City of Tampa today. At the Chamber, we focus on policy, not politics. And while we do not endorse candidates, we think it's important to make sure we get them in front of the business community and our members to hear where they stand on important business issues. Today, we're talking about Jeffrey Rhodes. He's running for City Council District 5. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. So we're just under 6 weeks away from Election Day. We're in the final stretch, and in this final stretch, what's the message that your campaign is trying to deliver to the voters before they head to the polls?
Well, our campaign is, one of the platforms is focusing on what counts, which is the community. And prior to me drafting my platform, my campaign staff and I went on a listening tour. And based on that, we established the platform.
Great. So I want to talk a little bit about workforce housing that may be a part of your platform. We hear from some people that it's potentially a crisis. There's certainly a need for more affordable workforce housing in the city of Tampa. What zoning or policy changes do you think make sense in order to address this need?
Yes, affordable housing is an issue in District 5, especially in East Tampa, as well as Sulphur Springs. There are affordable housing that's going on right now, but it's not important that we maintain affordable housing, but we must expand on affordable housing. And the way to do this is, one is to increase impact fees as contractors come into our community. Some of those homes need to be affordable housing. Currently, I sit on the West Tampa CRA, and Domain Homes is the major builder in this area. And at one of the meetings, we did request that they have a more affordable housing built in West Tampa, and they did honor that. Because initially, the homes that were built was like, we call them mini mansions. They were like a 350,000. That's not affordable. And I do believe in mixed income housing, where I don't believe where it should be a designated area just for low income. The mixed income housing is the way to go in the future.
Great. I want to talk about the budget. Some will argue that the budget process is one of the biggest responsibilities for City Council and working with the mayor.
Absolutely.
We're hearing from some economists and budget leaders at the state level that we may see a dip in the economy in a couple of years, which, if elected, that would fall under your tenure. How would you address the budget if we did have, some economic downturn? Would there be certain cuts that you would look at? Would there be certain tax increases? How would you manage that process?
Like I mentioned before, one would be, it probably wouldn't take care of the situation totally, but it would help if we raised the impact fees. That would be one. And also a vehicle of affordable housing would be rehab. Homes that are in depressed shapes. We have a lot of homes in the Sulphur Springs area that are vacant. Rehab those homes and make those affordable housing. And I think that would help. It would be a culmination of not just one. I would say one entity. It may take 2 or 3, and I would be open to suggestions. And I'll also follow other cities. See what other cities have done. I don't have a problem with researching. I don't have a problem with saying, well, I don't have this answer right now, but let me work on it, and we can get back with you and come up with a suitable, and also get feedback from the community. That's very important. We have a lot of community leaders, neighborhood associations that can provide a lot of feedback. And we also have other agencies that can help with affordable housing, such as the CDC of Hillsborough County.
Great. I want to talk about permitting, the permitting process in the city. We are hearing that there's more and more difficulty associated with trying to get a permit. We hear that from members and folks in the community. With that process, we want to make sure that there's a safe process in getting permits, but also an efficient one, so residents and businesses in the city can move on with their projects. Can you tell me how you would address permitting?
You talking about permitting for builders or?
Yes, for builders. Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure that the builders are legitimate. They have the proper licensing and the bonding that they need. We may need to cut back on some of the restrictions for permitting, but at the same time, we don't want I would say, builders to come in that aren't legitimate as well. So, I would have to weigh that. Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to talk about home rule.
Was that again?
Home rule and preemption.
Mhm.
We hear from local governments across the state that there is a growing frustration that there's a Tallahassee knows best mentality at the state level. Do you agree that that's the case? If so, how would you work with our state legislative delegation for a more productive relationship?
Yes, because I believe one time it was a state legislator that wanted to do away with the CRAs in Tallahassee. I do recall that, getting a memo on that. And I don't have problem with state regulation, but I think local government, we know what's best for our community because we're here. I own a business in this community. I've been a business owner in this community for over 25 years, and I believe I know what's best for my community as some Tallahassee bureaucrat. Yeah.
Great. Economic development. P3s or public-private partnerships are an asset for local governments across the country. What opportunities do you see in Tampa for us to utilize public-private partnerships for economic development opportunities?
Well, it would be very important with economic development for its job creation and affordable housing. That's very important. And because I believe in our city government, we have a strong mayor form of government here. I know St. Petersburg passed what they call a hiring ordinance a while back, maybe I think it was last year, where contractors coming into the city, they're required to hire so many apprentices, and so many ex-felons are hard to hire individuals. And that would be a good mechanism for job creation as well. And for us, housing, there's so many avenues we can take with affordable housing. I mean, especially if the community is within a CRA boundary as well, because we have TIF funds available. I don't know how that would help with affordable housing, but it will help with some of the infrastructure for our sidewalks and roundabouts.
And you mentioned sidewalks, transportation, or the transportation reform that passed in November, one that the chamber supported and injects a lot of new dollars into transportation. We all have a wish list of projects that we may want to see get done, but my question for you is, what would be the one priority transportation project you would like to see accomplished in your district with these new dollars?
Yeah, one, I think that's a concern in District 5, especially East Tampa, is that District 5 is not left out of the decision-making process. Whether we go with light rail or the trolley car, but talking with people at neighborhood associations, everybody's against any more interstate expansion. Light rail is the way to go. And if that is done, they want to be some kind of connection between East Tampa abuts right to Ybor City, which is part of District 5 as well. East Tampa don't want to be left out of that. They want a transportation that would be feasible for them, where they can get from home to work, even some shopping centers as well.
Great. Leadership. What do you see as the role of City Council, and if elected, how do you see that role evolving over your term?
Well, first of all, to me, it's simple. Is listen to the community needs and not your own personal agenda. And that's what I think what happens sometimes once individuals get in as an elected official, it turns into a personal agenda and not the people's agenda. Keep an open communication with your neighborhood association, and let's be held accountable. Go ahead and vote on behalf of your constituents, your district, what's best, and let's be held accountable for it.
Great. We've touched on several policy topics. Is there something that is a priority of your campaign that we haven't discussed that you would like to touch on, or is there something you'd like to reemphasize for the viewers?
Yes, one is, and maybe I think a little bit has been put toward this. It's the homeless issue in our community, homelessness, and the impact fees can help with that as well. Food sharing, I know the mayor a while back, I think banded some food sharing, but I believe it's for a good purpose, because we want to make sure the food is not contaminated. That's where I guess the state would come in and make sure people that are food sharing, that the food is consumable and it's not contaminated. But I think the food sharing, I think the people, because I'm a member of a church, and we feed the homeless because we're our church is on the outskirts of downtown, and I think that need to be lifted a little bit. If an organization is willing to help the homeless and feed them, I think the restriction need to be lifted a little bit and give them an opportunity to be a part of food sharing.
Great. So for our viewers, where can they go to learn more about your campaign?
They can go to my website, Rhodes2019.com. There, my platform is there. And we're, when I say we're, because I'm not in this by myself, focusing on what counts the community. And that's what it's all about.
Great. Well, on behalf of our 1,400 members, our board of directors, thanks for joining us today, and thank you for your willingness to serve in an elected capacity. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.